I've played this quite a few times, but the next segment I'm going to play and get Alan Watts' take on it. There's a bunch of video games out in the last decade, like Shattered Union. And in some of these games, your job, you work for the Illuminati, for the world government. You hunt down and kill militias. You torture militia members to death. In one game, when you get to the final level, you get into a safe, and you at the top of the Illuminati, and one of my videos, Police State 2000, is the great secret inside of the safe. I don't know why the establishment does that or why they keep sticking my voice or my rants in video games, and in some cases without my permission. I love this species. I love humanity, and I have great hopes and dreams for my progeny, living with your progeny in the future. I know I'm part of a great cycle of life. We're on a beautiful planet hurtling through space, and I want to stop the greedy, controlling, covetous New World Order control freaks that are so greedy they want to control the future and shape humanity in their degraded, degenerate image. That's the basic psychology we're dealing with. I want to punch up on screen, and we're going to go back to Alan Watt. I want to get his take on this. This is the trailer of one of, it's got to be more than 100 games that push. We're going to have martial law. Things are going to break down. It's cute and funny, and we're looking forward to it. This is all part of the acclamation. Here it is, Shattered Union.
In a disputed election and a tie vote, the U.S. Congress installs the most unpopular president in U.S. history as David Jefferson Adams becomes the 44th President of the United States. Shortly after the election, increased unrest, rioting, and a growing number of militias have given rise to ever-increasing domestic terrorism. In response, the President invokes the Homeland Security Act and declares martial law on the West Coast and other areas of the country. Though highly contested, a Supreme Court ruling sidesteps the electoral process, disqualifying popular presidential candidates from several states. Public outrage explodes when a sham election leads to incumbent David Adams accepting a second term in office. During the 57th Inauguration Day ceremonies, Washington, D.C. is struck by a low-yield nuclear weapon, killing David Adams and most of the U.S. Congress. The destruction of Washington, D.C. effectively breaks the chain of succession, sending the nation into chaos. In an emergency vote, the European Union deploys peacekeepers in the greater D.C. area to secure international interests. With separatist sentiment rising, California's governor declares home rule and secedes from the Union. Texas follows quickly and declares sovereignty, taking neighboring states with them and forming the Republic of Texas. Now, the once United States of America lie in ruin. The time for words has passed, and a second American Civil War now erupts as 7 factions wage war across the land. They battle one another to reclaim a nation, to restore peace, to rebuild this shattered union.
All right. Now, notice they gave an Abraham Lincoln quote. Who is Barack Obama telling us that he's modeled after Abraham Lincoln? Now, the British came in and manipulated both sides, got the South to break off. My family was in the South, but I'll tell you right now, it was staged. British intelligence openly manipulated that. The Russian Empire sided with the North. The British sided with the South, giving them weapons. They meant to break up the country. That's now been declassified. That's in the major British annals, to try to break up the country. The same thing is being set up now. You do not want to riot. You want to defend your family. You want to take care of your family. You want to reach out to the military and police to educate them not to come out and confiscate guns. Now, once they do it, that's another subject. But you don't want to go out looking for them, trying to engage them. Police and military, if you don't out and out ignore those orders, you need to just sit on your butts and not be part of this. They're going to stage riots. They are going to prepare everybody. This is the game plan. If we get the word out on this, we may back them off. They may cancel the operation. We haven't had more big terror attacks staged here, though they were planning it because we exposed the false flag attacks of 9/11. But you talk about predictive programming, Alan Watt. Hundreds of these video games have similar lines in them, and they are conditioning the public for this. And when I would first air this 2 or 3 years ago in other video game clips, people would laugh and say, that'll never come. We'll never have foreign troops. We'll never have. And now it's on the news that it is happening, and the Marines are in the West Coast, just like the States, running checkpoints. So the people that made this game were definitely being given inside information. Alan Watt.
The intelligence communities have basically been in charge of video games from their inception. That was their whole idea, was to militarize the public, at least get to the recruits that they'd want, who were conditioned to kill on sight when they were told to. And so they've always been in charge of video games. Otherwise, we tend to think that industry and commerce just develops on its own happenstance, and that's not true. Those who are in power never let anything out into the public unless it's a good purpose to serve those at the top. And when it comes to toys and things, but believe you me, they don't militarize the minds of youth unless there's something for that youth to grow up into doing down the road. So they've always been in charge of video games, but not only that, they've been in charge of the whole culture industry. And now there are books coming out with declassified information admitting that the whole culture for 50 years has been controlled by the CIA. But the most recent movies coming out of Hollywood, I think 9 of them are disaster-based movies with this future scenario that's almost here, all on the same theme. So this is mainstream now, indoctrination and predictive programming of what's to come. And it ties in exactly with that strategic studies report from the military that said it might even break down to civil war within the United States, and even a civil war with nuclear weapons. Well,
and then we have Tommy Franks going out, and it turned out he was being paid $500,000 a year by the Pentagon to go out and give interviews in the press and print and TV going, I'm real sad, but martial law is the only thing that will keep you safe, and it is coming. So again, we think there might be riots, boo-hoo, we've got to go out and attack the American people. And again, now the Arizona police say, we reported on this yesterday, dealing with the fact that the Army War College says they're preparing to attack the American people. That's going to be their main mission. Now, domestically, and people denied that the report was real, here it is in the Arizona Business Journal for everybody in their face. Go ahead.
Yes, so it's in the open now that they're conditioning the general population to this is inevitable, and they do know that the bulk of the population will always sit on the back seat and watch what happens. They're afraid. See, violence itself, and law runs on the threat of violence, is coercion. Most people go along with law because they're coerced to do so, and coercion, if it's not followed or doesn't work, will be backed up with force. Most people understand that subconsciously, and they want to be left alone, and they hope that nothing drastic will happen to them if they sit back and let it happen. They don't realize that this is a war that's going to continue right down to the bottom level, and no one's going to be unscathed by it. You're not going to get out of it. So everyone must participate in stopping it from happening in the first place. That's how you stop these things from happening. Everyone's got to get involved now and stop being entertained by television and demand their voice back. We cannot leave this to the experts. The experts work for the psychopaths. Most of the experts are psychopaths, and we've got to nip this in the bud right now.